Throughout, we'll be using social media. So if you would like to, and we would love you to share that you're attending the event today on social media, you can use the hashtag Lunchtime ESOL. We're not on Twitter anymore, but on Blue Sky, Facebook and Instagram. Okay. John, if you move on the slide. Thank you. Okay, so just a few things. So the first thing we're going to do is just introduce the topic today, which is a topic that people who came to the first one of these will be familiar with. And then we're just going to do some Mesh and Migration Yorkshire updates. And then we're going to introduce you to our lovely speaker today, who's Sophie Alderhart from Kirklees College, who's going to be talking about the Microsoft Reading Coach and demonstrating how she uses that with her students. And then some discussion and sharing of experience and ideas, which is hopefully why we're all here today. Kind of the main focus of this is sharing in-class experiences, getting ideas, and then we'll be giving you an evaluation form to finish. So just a reminder that this is a follow-up from the first Lunchtime Showcase, which was on ESOL and digital literacy, which we did back in, help me, John, when was it?
It was on June the 4th, Angela.
Okay, June thank you. Yeah, back in June, where we had two speakers, one of whom is actually here today, Jane from Hope English, talking about ESOL and digital literacy. And some key questions came up during that session. The first one was, how can we deliver effective ESOL learning remotely? How can we integrate the language and practices of the digital world into entry-level ESOL learning? As the digital world becomes more and more important, how do we integrate that into our classes? And what are some good strategies for doing that, for integrating ESOL learners into digital skills classes? So these are questions really that we would like to discuss in more depth later on. And this session, as I said, is about kind of you bringing your ideas, questions, things to talk about. So we will be asking for your input in the second part of the session. So first, before all that, I'm just going to hand over to Safina, who's going to do some Mesh updates. Safina.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to get my screen to share. Okay, so what I'm going to share today is a few of my features and developments that we've done actually on the website. The first one is the advanced search. So if you go into the Learning English website, this is the advanced search. So if you click here and you scroll down to view more filters, what you'll notice is that we've actually refined our filter section into subsections of language level, which we've actually grouped now. What we found was that when people were putting their courses on, some people are using beginners, some people are using pre-entry, and the list was just forever. So we've decided to sort of group them together, so beginners and pre-entry, so you can tag that in your class. Entry 1, people are using E1, elementary, A1. So that sort of fixes one now. So even if you put entry 1 or if somebody put in E1, it'll get grouped under that. So the categories, the next one we've got is the class topics. Again, we try to refine them down just to make it easier to search for specific topic classes. And then we've got who is the learner, and then qualifications and other. So it's just, the aim was to make sure that the user experience is a little bit more easier for learners to find classes. So that's the advanced search that we've just added and refined, really. The next thing that we've actually done, I'm just going to go back to the home page, is our new information learning resource, which you can find here. So it's an introduction to ESOL for new migrants. And this resource provides guidance on how different immigration statuses affect eligibility for ESOL provision. what you'll find is, just need to move the screen a little bit out of the way. It starts off with what is ESOL, and there's a really nice video that Angela has done just to explain and set the scene and give users an introduction to ESOL before diving into the details, which then follows on from understanding the English levels. What we've noticed that when out there, some of the learners are talking about entry 1 or A1 or B2. So we thought it'd be really nice to sort of display the comparisons of like where an entry 1 sits, if you A1, or in general accepted levels, it's elementary. And then we've got the IELTS levels as well in there. So just to explain that a little bit more for the user. And as you scroll down, you'll find a gateway or a menu bar of the different types of statuses. So for example, are you seeking asylum? Are you a refugee or on a resettlement scheme? So if you actually click on one of these, you'll get more information about the claimant status. You'll find a slide deck that you can actually go through. The learner can actually go through and read and understand. And then there's another slide about sort of the types of English classes they can attend. So that's the IRL. Now I'm going to go on to the actual teaching resource. So let's go back to the main page. No, actually, you can go to Learn English Plus. So you can find that from the top of here. And you go down to resources. And because it's a resource that we've actually created from Mesh, so you've got access our resources. And it's on page 2. So I'm going to scroll down. And what we've done is we've actually added a new transnational family resource. It's a part 2. We did one I think a while ago now. I can't remember the timing we did that. Angela will probably know. But it was around caring and seeking reunification. So it was a transnational families project, and we worked with July. In July. So the next part was family challenges. So if you actually click on this, what you'll find is that this is all about the resources and continues to explore experiences and challenges that are faced by families living across borders. It's designed to help practitioners and volunteers better understand and support their learners that are using different roles as caring roles or interpreting or translating. It actually starts off with a video, which is really nice, around transnational families. And then we follow it on with a slide resource, which has activities supporting the video. So for example, this is about Sarah. Sarah's in the video, so we'll ask questions around Sarah. There's an activity around that which you can do in the classroom with the learners. It comes along with some teaching notes, as always, and we have our keywords, which are you can find and download, and we've got audios as well that are linked to that. If you scroll down, and we've also got worksheets which are downloadable, which are linked to the slide deck, which breaks it down further. So that's what we've done for over the summer with the developments on the website. We'd love you to explore this and pass and share them with your colleagues, and if you've got volunteers in your organisation, get them to use that as well. And what you'll find is each section there is a feedback form. So it'd be really appreciated if you could actually fill that in, because we're always liking to improve things. I mean, I actually like working and would love to receive feedback, and if people are using it, how they're finding them. So that's me. I think it was a quick stop, whistle stop of the resources, but I am time limited, so I'm going to stop sharing now. Thank you.
Don't forget to mute your microphone if you can. Right, we're handing over to Emma Taylor now.
Thanks so much, Angela. Yeah, so just a really brief introduction from me about my role and about my organisation. Looking through the list of people that are here, I know some of you here, so apologies, you'll already know this, but I think there's some new names and new faces, which is fantastic. So I work for Migration Yorkshire, which is a strategic migration partnership for Yorkshire and the Humber. So we work with the 15 different local authorities across Yorkshire and the Humber, and my role is specifically around ESOL. So I'm the ESOL regional lead, and there are other ESOL regional leads across the UK. So we all work together to share best practice and to try and understand all of the different eligibility, the different funding rules, and the different the different things coming up in ESOL really, so that we can support the local authorities in our area in terms of their ESOL delivery and in terms of upcoming needs and changes and so on. So we have lots of different multi-agency ESOL groups across the region. I know I've seen many of you in those groups. So one of the things that we're trying to do, working together with MESH, is really encourage co-working, sharing of good practice, so that we can all work together to try and eliminate duplication and address gaps in ESOL provision. So you can see on this slide, there's a few different links here. So if you're working in the field of migration, I would encourage you to have a look at our website. There's lots of information there. We've got lots of different teams within Migration Yorkshire. We've got a Ukraine team, we've got a Hong Kong team, we've got an asylum team, we've got a data and statistics team. So if you're looking for any data and statistics on migrant groups in your area, do please have a look on our website. If you can't find what you're looking for, then get in touch with us, because our data team are really fantastic. They're really good at pulling out information for you, and that might be great for you to use if you're writing bids or if you're putting together any rationales for new ESOL classes or something like that. There's also a few different toolkits on there that can be really useful. We've got our ESOL for Refugees toolkit. There's lots of case studies on there, lots of great information in there, and also our needs analysis and placement for refugee learners toolkit. So do please have a look. If there's anything that you think I can help with, if you want to have any ESOL discussions, if you want me to help signpost you to any other ESOL groups or support networks, then please do get in touch. My email address is there on the slide. So thanks everyone. I'm going to hand back to John now, I think.
Yeah, thanks very much, Emma. That's great. And hello everybody from me also. My job at this stage is to introduce Sophie. Sophie Alderhart, who's ESOL lecturer at Kirklees College, and also very relevant to our current topic. She is the digital engagement trainer. Slightly hesitating because it's behind something else on my screen, but that's the correct. I think that's the correct title for you, Sophie. But please correct me if I'm wrong. And she's going to talk to us just a little bit about a platform that she uses in her ESOL delivery, just as a way of sharing practice and experience. So thank you so much, Sophie, for agreeing, and I'm going to hand over to you, and I'm actually going to stop sharing, I think, so that you can share your screen. Okay, so
Brill, thank you.
Do that now.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to bear with me, so you don't have to look at me, you can look at a nice new screen. I'm going to share this app today. Please tell me is that worked? Can we see that?
Yeah, that's
Brill.
good.
Okay.
That's good, Sophie. Yeah.
So this is called Reading Coach. It's a Microsoft built AI system for getting learners, any learners really, doesn't have to be ESOL, to do a bit more reading. And the general idea behind it is that students log in, they choose a story, and they can read it on their phone. It's they can also record it so that the AI can listen and help with any pronunciation issues. So I'll just give you it's going to be a very quick tour of it today. But if I just scroll down, you can, if I just go over to the resources tab here that has plenty of more information about how to use it. I think if I click on it, here you go. So it's got a tutorial video. It's got about how to use the educator features. And if you can get, like I asked our computers at our college to download the Windows app, so students can get it directly on the college computers. But they can just use it on the phone. It's really phone friendly. So if we go back to the main homepage and they click on Get Started, it will ask you to sign in with a school account or college account or wherever you are, or a personal account. It does work for those that don't have a central institution. So I'll just go ahead and log in. Right, so get on there. Right, it's got two different modes. They've just brought out a teacher or educator mode for it. I'm not going to touch on that too much today. I'll just show you the student one because it's about getting students online as quick as possible, getting them using it. So you get your students to log in with whatever system, whatever login they use. So for us, it's the Kirklees College email and password, just like they use for our computers. And then they get to this page. And what they can do is they can go to the library here, read a passage from our library, and pop in here. Now, be aware, because it's a Microsoft system and they go through it on their phones, if their phone isn't in English, this won't be in English. You need to make sure they switch it on their phone, because they will. I had my first lessons of the year yesterday, met my first new group, and they finished their worksheet and I started getting them on this. And it was the first thing I noticed with a Ukrainian learner. It was all in Ukrainian. It was like, right, that's translate the page, please. We don't want, like, untranslate the page, should I say. Let's get it back in the right language. It was like, well, it's no good for you reading it in Ukrainian because it'll be really easy for you. So it is leveled. So you've got level 1 to 8. Now this doesn't link directly to the CFR. So what you need to do is this question here, it says which level is right for me. Get students to click on it, and it gives them a couple, 2 or 3 sentences for them to check. If it's easy, go up to level 2. Still easy, go up to level 3. Get them to a level where they don't know every word. So I had some, they're just getting to entry 3, and they range wildly, as we know, the spiky profiles. From some of them reading level 3 stuff, some of them reading level 6 stuff. So it really does depend. Happy with that example? Brilliant. Then they have this whole bank of stories that they can choose. So they make the choice themselves. They want to read Bread Around the World. They want to read this one. They click on that. It will ask them for microphone access. So I'm not going to allow it this time because I'm already talking to you. And then it's got the story here. Now they don't have to record it. It can just be a reading app, just for them to do for themselves. They don't have to record it if they're self-conscious about it. But if they want to, there's a little green button here. It will listen to them read, and then it will suggest some words that they found particularly difficult. It's got the whole story here for them to go through. Now, if you've never used this before, it's got some absolutely fantastic features, and I'm blessed with having like a couple more minutes today because there's no other presenters, so I'll just show you one real quick. But say that they don't know some of these words. So, for example, dough. They can click on the word, they can hear it individually, and it shows a little picture of what it is, which is just fantastic. So it's got a little picture dictionary built in. Don't work for every word, they're still building it. The other options are, up in the top right, you'll see these 3 symbols. You've got the 2 A's, the little lines, and the book. If you've got any learners that have learning needs, the AA is perfect. You can improve the text size for learners that are really we've got them, we all do, learners of all ages that really struggle reading on their phone. Boost the text size up. You can also change the font. It's only got 3, but we all know the good old Comic Sans is quite friendly for ESOL learners. It also has colouring, so you can change the background So for the learners that need a coloured background for reading, it's fantastic. They can just change it to a friendlier reading format. Once they've done this once, the system remembers what they like. So they only need to set it up the one time because it's linked to their account. So every time I open something, it will now go, oh, you want this colour and you want that size text. So that's for your more inclusiveness for learners. The other option, I know I'm running out of time, is the grammar options, which, oh my goodness, I can't talk about this one enough, but I'm going to try not to. You can highlight parts of speech, and this is just amazing. You want them to go through here and find all the adjectives. You click that on. Oh, I'm going to have to make the text smaller. My bad. One sec. Back to there. And it's highlighted all the adjectives in this text in green. Different color. You can change the color if you need to. I want them to find all the verbs because we're doing some sort of process we're looking at different tenses. Fantastic. I want them to find adverbs. Done. Nouns. Done. It is amazing. They're going to add more. Again, it's something that they keep building on. But for now, that's what they've got. The last one is about line focus. So if students have a really tough time because there's a lot of text, you can get it like this, where it's just highlights one line at a time. Stops them from trying to focus on the whole big block, which can really get them down. Just one line at a time. Also really good if you want to demonstrate it in class up on the board and get learners to read. You know, Safina reads one line, then Emma reads one line, that kind of thing would really help. It's got some amazing, those are just the student features. There is a whole bank of teacher features as well, which I'm not going to go in today because there's a lot of them, but I am doing a session for Techtober in October on the 16th, and it's like an hour-long session, and I'll be showing how to work the educator side of things and set up reading for your learners. So I hope that was, I know it was very quickly through it, but it is free to use. And if your college, you know, is a Microsoft college like ours is, then, you know, take advantage of the opportunity, really. All of my learners, I had 24 of them, got online and read something yesterday. So it doesn't take that long to do. So I hope that was useful for everyone. I'll stop sharing that screen.
Thank you so much, Sophie. That was indeed really, really interesting. Before I just open it up to questions from everyone, can I just ask you to just explain a little more detail the Techtober thing that you mentioned at the end there, just so that people get a good view of that.
Yeah, so Techtober is an event created by Kirsty Ingleson. And it's basically throughout the month of October, every single day, there are 2 or 3 presentations on different digital tech for educators. The presenters are like you and me. They are just people from organizations or teachers who have found something that they want to share. The entire event, they're all free. And I will, if I can just get the link, I'll pop it in there she's made like a magazine, so you can see all the different events and who's presenting and what each session's about. They have early morning, they have lunchtime, and they have evening sessions to try and, because we all know we're super busy during the day, so we're trying to aim for different sections. It's the second year that they've been doing it. The first year was really well attended, and not everything will be ESOL directed, but there is quite a few ESOL things this year. So highly recommend it if you want. Just look up Techtober on LinkedIn and you'll find it. But if I can find the link, I'll pop it in the chat for you. Once it asks us to verify 5 billion times.
It would be great if you could share it. Yeah. That's fantastic, Sophie. Okay, well, before we move to the general discussion, I wonder if there are any questions specifically for Sophie and about the package that she's shared with us. Anybody got a question? Angela Palmer.
I just wanted to clarify. Thank you, Sophie. It's an amazing app to know about. So I just want to clarify that if a learner has a phone and access to the Wi-Fi, they can make themselves a Microsoft account. Is that right? Or do they have to have a subscription to a Microsoft account to be able to get onto that app?
No, they don't need a subscription to use it.
Okay, so it is completely free for learners to use then.
Yeah, to use the educator side, which you would need a Microsoft subscription to do, because it gives you insights into how your learners are doing on their readings and allows you to set things up. But for just learners, they don't need a subscription to use it.
Right. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just send my link to my LinkedIn. If you could send us a request on there, because my email is my work email and I'm only in 3 days a week. I know, part-time life, but
that's in response to the question about sharing your email address, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the I found it. That is the link to the digital book that shows you all the different things happening in Techtober, and including myself. Mine is in there as well. I'm failing to navigate LinkedIn to find my own post.
We'll make sure that people get it. Don't worry. Could I just ask a follow-on question, Sophie? Because when you showed us the collection of books, there was quite a lot of interesting things in there. And I believe you have the capacity as the educator to actually load up books. Is that correct? Have I understood that correct?
Yeah,
so it's not the Microsoft
correct.
selection.
No, so you can upload your own. So this year I am wanting to work through a full book with learners, so I can upload one chapter at a time, and each week, or I think it's every 2 weeks, I've planned it, we'll do one chapter. But that allows them to read it again in their own time. You just upload it like you would do a document. I'll go into that in much more detail in the hour-long. I'm gonna need an hour to go through how to do it. But yes, rather than using the AI generated stuff, and be aware, because it's Microsoft, there might be some Americanisms in there that you might want learners not to use. I mean, it's easy enough to explain if you just say, like, my learners have gone, "Oh, teacher, that's not how it's spelled," and I'm like, "Correct, that's American spelling," and they've got around it very easily. They didn't get too confused.
But I think that capacity to actually load up your own material in that way is a really important one, because often, there's a kind of paucity around things that are available on online services. So it's great that you're able to do that. And is there any kind of copyright issues around that we need to take account of?
It's because you're using it for an educational purpose. It is the same as if when we have to register with the copyright service. So just as if you were photocopying from a book, you just have to, when it comes around to that time when you have to say what you've been using, you make sure to add that. I've obviously, the stories that I'm using, I have had to adjust to be used with the levels. So, but it still has to be out there that, just like you would reference in an essay, reference that I have used it. But it's not quite public. So
okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah. Is there any other questions from colleagues to Sophie? Hey, Sophie, thank you so much. That was so informative, and I think I better sign up for the full hour. I think in October, which I now just can't stop calling Techtober, you know.
Techtober, yeah.
Okay, so we will proceed then. And there may be other comments related to Sophie's presentation that come up as we proceed. I'm going to just go back and share the slides for a minute. We've done that. Okay, so now we're going to move basically to the discussion period. You know, just to remind, I know you've probably received like 7 emails from me or something, which makes this point. But just to make it again, you know, what we're trying to do now alongside Emma with the Lunchtime Showcase series is rather than just do the one showcase session, which is, as we know, only an hour on a theme, and then go, right, okay, we've done that, now we'll move on. We wanted to try, so we had a lot of feedback about that being a little bit too compressed sometimes. So we decided to try out this approach of like having the theme in one session and then having another session after a little period of time for reflection and so on, where we return to that theme and we try to create more space in that theme for more discussion and ideas from colleagues from across the region. And so that's the point that we're at now, is we are providing that space. And Emma and I are going to sort of just chair this part of the of today's session, but actually we are just there to field the comments and the ideas from you all who are with us, who we know have experience and ideas around the issues of ESOL and digital learning. So that's what we're trying to do here. And in the spirit of tying these 2 sessions together, you'll have noticed from one of my 7 emails before that we put in a link to a summary from the previous session, which included a presentation from Jane Milton of Hope English. And Jane is here today as well. So Jane, I hope I reflected what you said okay in that summary. And that was just like supposed to be like a 10-minute summary, just to either refresh your memory, or if you weren't able to attend the previous session, to give you an idea of the kind of things we were talking about in that. And as part of that, we just presented a slide which looked at some of the issues which came up in the shorter period of that we had for discussion at the end of that session. And so I've just reproduced that slide here to encourage you to think about those kind of issues and contribute in relation to any one of those points, really. Or indeed on anything that's come to you from what Sophie said as well. So I could go on, but I'm not going to go through each of these points because I did that in the summary. So let's open it up, shall we, Emma, to hear what people have to say about any of these themes. Over to you, folks. Sophie has her hand up. Sophie, please.
That second one about the potential to exclude those who think digital learning is for them is a really interesting question I've not actually thought of. We do end up having some learners who are very reluctant to do anything digital based, but I suppose it's then about linking it to what they want for the future. I mean, if they're looking for a job and things like that, unfortunately, they're going to need to. So trying to appeal to them that way might help, but
Yeah, I mean, this was something which came up at the last one, and it came partly from a project that I'd done previously some years ago, where we'd looked at digital learning as combined with ESOL learning at the lower levels. So, and I was worked for an organisation in Manchester called Migrant Support. Then we did a pre-entry and an entry one level course, not a long course. It was a 12-week course because it was a third sector organization. We had specific funding for this. And then the funder had asked us to reflect on what we'd done afterwards. And one of the reflections we had was that at those lower levels, there were a lot of learners who were new to the country and who were, as you say, keen to get on and get a job and stuff like that. But they really had that perception that they were being held back primarily by the need to learn English. So we had feedback from those people that really what they were interested is trying to boost their English level rather than doing other things which they might perceive as a distraction from their capacity to sort of progress with their English. So, like several people kind of said in their feedback, well, we saw that it was about digital learning, but really we just joined this class because we wanted to improve our English, and it was free and it was in a good place in the city, easy to get to, and so on. We weren't really interested in that. So we kind of took that on board, but in the spirit of skills for life, really going right back to the kind of original principles of skills for life, we kind of thought, well, that may well be the case, but actually you need those digital skills in order to communicate in English in the contemporary world. Because if you want to make a doctor's appointment, or even things like shopping, or getting somewhere, and using a map on your phone and so on, you need to actually engage with those digital skills in English. So they actually now form part of the fundamental ways that one communicates in English. So
Yeah,
we felt it was,
absolutely.
yeah, so we felt it was still important to include those things, but actually there was a case for syncing the digital skills headline and just saying this is an entry one English course, and then actually delivering the English course through digital learning, elements of digital learning, in order to encourage people to sort of develop those skills almost like as a just as a normal way of learning English. So I think so it's a slightly polemical point, I think, because it's sort of saying in order to deliver digital learning, you need to actually invisibilize digital learning, and I don't know if everyone would agree with that really, but yeah, it was a point that we'd made from that course.
Well, I would agree. I mean, to a point. I mean, we used to do digital learning, specific digital learning classes, and we had the same issues that learners didn't want a digital learning lesson. They wanted an English lesson. That's what they came here for. And then the moment we've taken that away, they all now want digital learning lessons. It's like, hold on, you didn't want them, now you want them. But we've integrated it instead, rather than calling it a digital learning session. It's an English session, but we encourage teachers to go to the computer rooms and do it that way. So it's whatever way works. Personally speaking.
I think this is really about remaining faithful to the idea of skills for life. I know when I first started using skills for life materials, I was delivering sort of sections from some of the units which were about going to Blockbusters and renting a video, which clearly was a skill for life in 2002, but is no longer a skill for life. Whereas engaging with digital technology is fundamental, as I say, to the way we engage. So there's a way in which we just need to embrace that and sort of think different, think flexibly about the curriculum, I think, in order to accommodate it. Anyway, I'll shut up. Has anyone else got any points they want to make?
That's maybe a good opportunity, isn't it, for anyone to share any of their strategies about how they're sort of integrating digital learning. Even, I mean, it might be you don't necessarily think that you're doing that, but it, you know, on hearing this, you think, oh, actually, you know, by doing this, I am integrating digital learning. We're really keen to hear how it's working for you.
Okay.
Oh,
Jane's going to say something. Yeah.
Hi,
Yes,
yeah,
go
I
for it.
think
Hi,
we've
Jane.
had a similar thing. People, sort of older people who were a bit sort of scared of digital skills almost. So it was working with people, we'd already done English classes with them. And so kind of saying, well, we're doing a computer class, calling it a computer class rather than digital skills as well, I think made a difference, because I think digital skills has an implication, oh, it's very high level and this kind of thing. So we said, oh, it's a basic English and computer class. So we kind of almost, rather than embedding the digital skills in with the English, we said, well, it's a computer class, but we're doing offline activities as well, pre-taught the vocabulary and things like that. So although it was a computer, it's just a 12-week course we get funded for. So it was kind of, we're not just going to be on the computers all the time. We're going to do vocabulary, we're going to do games, discussions, this kind of thing, because it's quite hard for us to kind of embed it in our ESOL classes because we've got kind of sets of laptops and we go out into the community and things. So it was almost kind of oversimplifying it and making it not intimidating in a way that, oh, it's not leading to getting a job or whatever. It's just relating it, like you said before, to their everyday lives. And well, if you've got children at school, you're going to need to do this, or booking health appointments and things like that. So it was just making it relevant really for the learners that we'd gotten, not a sort of scary, oh, it's digital and it's, you know, something that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. Jane, I wonder if I can ask, just whilst you're there, with your little yellow hand.
Yeah,
But I was wondering if I can ask you a question from the other end of the telescope, in a sense, because I remember when you were presenting last time, you made a comment about the digital learning element of the courses that you're running at Hope English being attractive to funders, or perhaps it was actually your colleague, is it Lucy that was mentioning? I can't remember now, but is there anything you can say about that? You know, why you think this kind of theme is something which makes funders sit up, and if so, you know, what kind of funders are we talking about?
I think just showing that you know, like you said about the skills for life, that you're giving students things that are relevant, that you're not kind of repeating the same thing, the same topics, that you're teaching things in a new way to reflect what they need to know now and reflect the life skills that they're going to need, really. I mean, there's SciFab, they've got a lot of funders on there, South Yorkshire Community Foundation, sort of local to South Yorkshire, that is. But yeah, I think just showing that you're responding to learners' needs and not just doing one thing and being flexible, I think is quite a good thing to show.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Fantastic. Are there any other questions or points that anyone wants to make? Sophie.
I'll be sick of my voice by the end of this, but about the integrating digital learning, I mean, if like a lot of my learners now that got to entry 3, they're raring to get to level 1 classes, and the thing that holds them back a lot is the writing. You know, they can talk for days, but the writing holds them back. And I actually find taking them to the computer rooms to show them how text features are important and layout is important by making them do proper things. So like they have to send me an email that needs to look like an email, or I've made like a job description on Microsoft Forms and they need to apply for that job. So it's a real life situation for them to use that's a bit better than just a little task. so it integrates the digital side and lets them, I can give them real-time feedback in terms of like how the emails and that is going. If you'll have some learners that they've never used a computer before, bless them, and they don't know how to type. There's some good typing games out there or typing systems out there that teaches them how to touch type from the get-go, and even just half an hour on something like that can boost their confidence tenfold. Can't remember the name of the specific site at the moment for typing, but it's fantastic. Just like literally like if you did it at school, you know, starting with the 2 fingers on 2 buttons and then going up from there, so they learn how to do it and in their own time. So yeah, that's what I would suggest in terms of integrating the digital learning in there, making it as real life as possible.
Yeah, that's, you know, I'm such an important kind of point that actually, you know, writing is a digital activity now, probably more than it is an activity that you do with pen and paper, you know, for good or ill, really. So it's really important. And again, Sophie, if you have any of those links to touch typing online platforms, that would be useful to share.
Yeah,
Although,
it's called typingclub.com.
Typingclub.com.
If you've got, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but if you've got 16 to 18 or younger English learners, there's one called Z-Type, and it's a bit like, what is it, Space Invaders? Okay. So you've got, it's a game, so that's why it's a bit better for the younger learners, and the words come down like little alien ships, and they've got to type the word, and it shoots up and gets rid of the ship, and it's like a bit of a competition for them, but it's also, teachers can put in their own word lists, so you can have them learning specific words, which is quite good.
Great.
Surely, I would say, yeah.
Space Invaders surely appeals to the 40 to 55 age bracket, I'd say.
any type of game would work, but yeah, Z-Type would love Z-Type.
Actually, it reminds me that another thing which Jane mentioned to us when she was presenting in June was that Hope English were planning to develop a touch typing course alongside some of their digital offer. Jane, is there any update on that which you can share with us? Because I thought it's such a fantastic idea. So.
It's still sort of in the planning stage at the moment. As you've said, we've used the typing club that you mentioned because we found the same thing, that even learners with a higher level of English, they were used to using the phones and things, but it was the actual typing skills, and because it's graded that. So we thought, well, if we could incorporate that into general topics that you do for ESOL learners and do it from a lower level. So we've got as far, because Anna, who's not with us anymore, she's moved on, she's still a trustee, she was kind of overseeing that. So we got as far as like planning the topics and things, and we've not actually developed it yet, but I'll keep you updated when we've got more progress. But it's something that did arise from when we initially developed the digital skills course. So yeah, it's something we want to look at, really.
Thanks, Jane. I mean, I think it's such an interesting idea to think of touch typing as one way of actually learning English, in fact, because, you know, you're getting into the language through touch. You know, the knowledge that you're acquiring through touch is a different way of a kind of working with the structure of the language, and, you know, getting used to a QWERTY keyboard and so on is very intimately connected with English. So I don't know if there's any research about you know, the relationship between language learning and touch typing, but it'd be certainly interesting to explore if there was. However, yeah, I'm going off on one again. Is there any other points anyone wants to make? We've still got 10 minutes, so it'd be lovely to hear from some other people. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to stop sharing this because I feel like it's like hiding us. So let's just, hello, everybody. anyone got anything they'd like to? Thanks for adding that, Emma, the Touch Typing Club. Any other points from anybody?
I'd be interested to hear if anyone's got any tips for sort of engaging older learners. Someone referenced that earlier about older learners might be particularly worried or anxious about trying to access digital learning, might not have the skills, might not have the hardware. So I'd be interested to hear if anyone's got anything around older learners, but also if anyone's got any tips around working with people who might be quite digitally excluded, such as asylum seekers who might not have much access to Wi-Fi, to phones, to data. Yeah, don't know if there's any experience in the group.
Well, perhaps I'll build on that, Emma, because there's one thing that I wanted to also introduce, and this also came from research, actually came from mesh research that we were doing last year. We did this thing for the East Midlands where we had some focus groups with groups of learners to explore their experience of learning ESOL in that region. And one of the things that came out of that was the very common occurrence amongst people, like in hotels, in asylum hotels and so on, of negotiating English through AI, different forms of AI. You know, I feel like often there's a kind of resistance to these kind of approaches to learning because they are, you know, the poor relations of proper learning, you know, face-to-face learning, speaking to actual people rather than robots and so on. But for those people who've just landed up in the country and are trying to navigate their way through, these were critical vectors really for trying to help them to get on. So it made us think that actually there must be ways in which we can build on that usage, the usage of things like ChatGPT that the learners are doing anyway, to actually make it integrate it into ESOL learning, integrate it in the ways that people do things in the classroom. So maybe there are people here who already do that. So is that the case? Does anyone have anything that they can offer in that area?
Sorry, you've heard from me enough, but
No, again, please.
In terms of like the using the AI, it's I let students use it in certain circumstances because I feel like it's a bit like telling people not to drink and not to smoke. The more you say don't do it, the more people are going to want to do it. So if you tell your students don't use AI, and you get your homework back, and you look at it and go, well, that's none of that's you. I think about building their confidence up in themselves so that they're not using it to fake a writing or a homework. They're using it to find out some information. So if they don't know about, if we're doing some research about festivals, or if we're doing some research about, they can use it to get some quick information together. But if I then read the sentence back to them and there's words in there they don't understand, then we're going to take those words out, and I want them to make a sentence using words they do understand, that they know, which allows them to still use that information, but I want to hear their voice. Their voice is more important. I don't want to talk to ChatGPT. I want to talk to them and trying to get them, building them up in that way. I'm not saying they can't use it, but I don't want the words coming from there.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way of approaching it, Sophie, by actually using it, you know, as a building block. Really, is what I understand from what you're saying. Is sort of making it into a sort of, a conduit for learning, really, by taking those words out and saying, now reconstitute this using the stuff that in your own sort of knowledge and understanding. I think is one really good way to
a bit like it's almost preparing them for like academic skills. If they read something from an article, they're not going to copy and paste that article. They've then got to put it in their own words. They've then got to cite it. So that is kind of what I'm at the higher levels. It's like, yes, you can use it, but what I want you to do is then use your own words, explain it how you would know it, and the little tricks. I don't tell them like the little tricks that show us immediately that it's not their work. Like, well, there's no spelling errors for one. All the spelling that you've given me, because ChatGPT is American, you've given me American spelling. And things like that, or like the way that the sentence is written. It's like, well, I know you don't know how to do those sentence structures. So you can read it all you want, then use your own words for it. But in general, especially for the lower level learners, I try and steer them clear of it completely, because they'll try and use it. In fact, I had it yesterday. Learner put in what they wanted in their own language, got ChatGPT to rewrite it just so he could tell me that he had a medical condition and that he couldn't sit down for that long. But ChatGPT took it as he was missing a limb, which was interesting.
Yeah,
because
not evident.
So just reading that, going, this isn't what's happened. But he was an entry 3 learner, and he should have been perfectly capable of telling me that. And he's a very strong learner, but he didn't have any confidence. He felt that using ChatGPT made it so he wouldn't be misunderstood, and in fact, it made it worse.
Yeah, which is an interesting learning point in itself, already, isn't it? Tracy, you've got a point to make.
It was kind of similar to the missing limb story, really. We are trialing the use of AI for translations. And one thing that we are finding is that language needs to be kept simple, because otherwise it doesn't translate particularly well. And if you then translate it back again into the source language, it can completely lose its meaning. So it can go from, I've got a sore bum cheek, I can't sit down for long, to my leg fell off yesterday. And I know that's an extreme example, but as a learning tool, AI has definitely got its uses, but just to sort of urge caution, I would say, when using it in that sort of context. That was just what I was wanting to bring.
Yeah, no, so it's certainly caution is needed. It's when I was thinking about it earlier, I just looked at some of the things that are available on a British Council website, and I was reading an article which started with that example of the pocket calculator, which kind of 40 years ago was perceived as something which was undermining maths learning in maths classes across the nation, and now it's become integrated into maths learning fully, as it's sort of become embedded as part of the culture. And I wonder whether we need to think about AI in a similar kind of way, actually, that it's coming, we can't stop it, and we need to think creatively about the ways that it can be embedded into learning as something which helps to people think not just about the English language, but actually to think critically about the world around them as well in some ways, So I see that Safina has put the link to the evaluation form in the chat, which must mean that we're nearly at the end of this hour. Perhaps I should, in fact, just to reinforce that, put up the share the slides again, which will allow you to see the QR code for the evaluation form. As we always say in our sessions, it's so important to us to get your voice to help us to shape what we're doing. in the lunchtime showcase and other things that we do. So really grateful to you if you could spend 5 minutes just filling in the form, giving us your feedback on this session, but also your ideas on things going forward. Be really grateful for that. And it is 1:30 or thereabouts. We should stop unless anyone needs to say. Emma, have I forgotten anything?
Sorry, I couldn't come off mute there. No, I think you've covered everything, John. And yeah, thanks for contributions, everyone. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and thank you particularly to Sophie Elderhart from Kirklees College for a really stimulating offer, which I think looks really, so useful. And I'm sure that lots of people will be thinking the same, going away and putting the 16th of October, or should I say the 16th of Techtober, in their
16.
diaries to take
Yep.
part with
Yep.
with Sophie's full hour session.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thanks, everyone. We'll end the session there. And thank you so much for coming. It's lovely to see you, and look forward to seeing you for our next session, which is in November, I think, but we'll let you all know well before that.